Welcome back, nerds, to the It's More Than a Cartoon podcast. I am your host, Dr. Applesauce, with my friend and co-host, Kyle. Today, boy, we've got some fun topics, some spicy topics. We're going to talk about, depending on your perspective,
where you stand on it,
think about AI, what you think about AI and anime, what you think about current anime, what you think about some of the stuff that's going on, and probably one of the most confusing but intricately written and deep animes that I've watched in a long time. We have a whole host of fun things to talk about. So
now I'm intrigued.
Kick it off, Kyle. Let's get this party started.
So what we talked about last week, also, we were talking about something that really surprised me. I didn't really think you would actually take hold of it, but what you did is we talked a lot about My Just a Darling, how I enjoyed it.
Bro, I was watching it last night. It's
the amount of joy I got, because like a lot of times I know I'm known for giving out recommendations. That's typical. But when you actually give it to like a friend, a buddy, and they actually take that and then they take the substance you give them, they take a piece of the pie, and you know what? It's actually good. They actually listen to it. Now, you're not going to like every single thing I recommend, just how like maybe you might recommend something I might not like. But the fact is, I was like, all right, first one, we got a dub. It was My Just a Darling, and you're enjoying it so far. The fact is, right when you said to me, I was right next to my wife, and I'm like, let's go. And she's like, what? I was like, he took my advice. He's listening, like he's watching an anime that a lot of people deem it very good. But the one thing I do want to talk about going into this is that what Will said in the text message. And are you comfortable? If you're comfortable with us talking about
it? That's fine. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'll pull up exactly what it said in the text message, because it was exactly, anyone who's seen My Just
context for everybody that might not know me super well. I am I say that I am a battle shonen whore.
Right.
That's just what I love.
Right.
And I'm not ashamed to admit that's what I do. Watch plenty of other stuff. I enjoy seinen, and I catch a rom-com every once in a while.
Okay.
But Kyle,
you stick more in the shonen.
Yeah, Kyle likes a lot of rom-com. My best friend here likes rom-com.
I can go anywhere.
So that's the context. And
with the text message though, I get a text message out of the bloom. Mind you, this is in the morning. Okay, technically it's 12 at night.
Yeah,
well, almost 1 o'clock. Actually, looking at it now,
it was almost midnight.
I get a message. I didn't read it till I was in the morning, but it says 3 words, 1 emoji. It says the jiggle physics, which anyone who's seen My Dress Up Darling knows that sums it up for it. That is a perfect definition of how the anime starts and how it ends. But on the back end, though, it is so much more. And I think it is hilarious, though. The fact is, the first thing you say about that you're watching this, because, of course, he takes a picture of him watching the anime and just says those 3 words and an emoji. That sums it up. But my question to you is, well, multiple questions to you. First off is, do you think the jiggle physics with this
Freudian slip there, bro?
Whoa! Do you think the jiggle physics are ruining this anime? Because some people say it's a little too much with the fan service, or do you think it's actually bringing it to a certain standard that a lot of people who aren't, like you say, into romance, battle shonen, with the fan service, do you think it could drag people over into romance anime, or do you think it's just
I think
absurd?
It works because it adds humor, but it also it's like it's given a little bit of fan service without being lewd, right? Like, I mean, it's not super lewd. Like,
okay, yeah.
I mean, or so far from what I've seen, like the context isn't a lewd context. So, like when Marin is, letting Gojo get her measurement so he can make the cosplay.
That was all over the internet when it first came out.
Yes,
that was
but
crazy.
Here's the thing: it's not lewd, like sexualized lewd. It's just like this is what they're having to do, type of a thing. But
I think they did a good twist on it, though. Yeah.
Yes, good twist on it. So I don't think it's ruining it. I think it works, because you have to think you're viewing this from the perspective of Gojo, who's the main character, who is a nerdy teenager, right? So if you're viewing this story through his lens, all of this that's happening to him is going to be very over the top and very exaggerated from his perspective, right? Like he's essentially a NEET who just, wants to work on his dolls and his art and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like the hottest girl in school is wanting to work with him and interested in him some way, and basically like wearing her bathing suit in his room. Like, so things are going to be flustered, right? Things are going to be exaggerated.
Right.
from his perspective, right? And
Right.
so I think it's funny. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's for kids, but I think it lends to the actual context of the story from Gojo's perspective.
I mean, from the start of the anime, because you see a little backstory of Gojo, and then it leads to what his life is now and how he's considering himself an outcast because he just feels like he just can't fit in. And for those who don't understand what happened in the beginning of the anime is that he's getting yelled at by this girl, a friend of his, asking him why he's playing with dolls because those are for girls. And for him, ever since then, he just felt like he never fit in. Everything he does is wrong. So he sits in the back of the class like every cliche protagonist does. But the way she gets introduced is, it still baffles me. I think it was cool, but it still baffles me because what happens is she trips, bumps her head on the table. I don't know how she's flying in the air, how she tripped, how she's flying,
Anime,
all that stuff.
bro. It's anime.
I feel like there's so many other ways they could have done it, but I mean, it worked. I guess that out of the whole series, that's probably the only thing that really kind of bugged me. But when you see how these interactions go, how for him he's hesitant and she's full on, how he's planning, he calculates everything, wants to measure everything, where she's just like, let's just have fun, let's go for it, you know, and how these two different people are somehow molding together. But also, first of all, how far are you into it?
I've watched the first 5 episodes. I'm
Okay.
almost halfway through season 1.
Okay, so yeah, with this, you've seen enough. Then, who do you think you relate to more? Would it be Gojo or Marin?
As a kid, definitely Gojo. As an adult, definitely Marin, because I've grown up a lot more and become a lot more extroverted and a lot more comfortable.
Right.
I relate to the show a lot too because I'm in that environment a lot, right? Like Marin wants to go to these cosplay shows and anime stuff, and like she loves that. And I'm in those types of environments all the time. So I relate to the show a lot from that perspective. I also relate a lot because I remember being 14, 15 and like thinking I was a loser, not really having a bunch of friends, just wanted to watch my anime and like play my video games and do my thing, right? So I kind of, you know, I relate from both sides, which is one of the things I like about it.
What makes a good anime out of it too, if you can actually relate to the characters themselves, not only just one character but multiple characters, I think that's good. But also what I think is great about this too is that the cosplay. Now, I don't think there's cause and effect with this anime. I think it has increased a little bit, but the cosplay aspect of this anime is very, very high, and that's what it's all about. And what I think and what I can see happening is maybe cosplay might be more mainstream now in the future because it is very, very well known in the anime scene. But outside of it, a lot of people don't know. These are actual real jobs. I didn't even know this, but you can have a real job as a cosplayer.
Yeah.
I did not know that. And so that baffles me. I mean, especially with you, with your position, you definitely know more about this, but I don't know if it will have a big impact. I think it will put a good light on the cosplay scene. And like I said, I don't know much about that, but watching it so far, do you think it's cool seeing like the ins and outs of what he has to do to make this cosplay costume, or do you think it's just like, you know, it's just kind of cute fluff?
I think it's cool because it's real, like real cosplay. No, I shouldn't say real, but you have cosplayers that either make their own cosplays or they pay somebody to make their cosplays for them, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to compete in contests, you have to make 75% of the cosplay yourself. I've been learning a lot about this because with Anime America, we're like our main event at Anime America is going to be a big cosplay contest. So we have a cosplay coordinator and she's like coordinating all this. So I'm learning a lot from her. And to compete, or the way we're doing it, because you can have like general, I don't remember what it's called, but like general walk-on or something where it's like you doesn't matter if you've made the cosplay or not.
Or you just bought it offline, right?
Correct. Typically a cosplay contest has two judging phases. The one is the one that everybody sees that's on stage, right? The audience, you see all that. That's one part. The other half takes place in private, where the cosplayer goes to the judges with the cosplay and gets up close and personal with them.
Oh,
and
so
the
they can
judges
see like all the
look
details.
at it. Yeah. And so the judges look at it, look at the quality, ask them questions. They're basically determining, hey, did they actually make this, or you know, what's the quality look like? That's called prejudging. That's the other half of it.
Now, I'm sorry, one question too. How do you classify a judge then? Because Like would they have to know how to make clothes? Would they know
Yeah,
how to make
so
certain things?
as she's going through right now, we've picked all of our judges for Houston, and we
Mm,
need to pick one or two more judges for Dallas. So
okay.
Anime America Dallas will be in September, and Anime America Houston will be in November.
Right.
Basically, she goes through and picks people that have either had prior judging experience,
Mm,
or haven't had prior judging experience but meet certain qualifications. And essentially,
right.
it's cosplayers that make their own cosplay. They're typically like very very well versed in some aspect of like stitching or fabrication or props or something, and they've won awards previously at
So they know
cosplay
the ins and
contests.
outs and all that.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
people that like they're actively making cosplay. They have a portfolio
Mhm.
to show what they've made for X amount of time, and they've
Yeah.
actually won some awards at different big shows. And
Okay.
then that qualifies somebody to be a judge. And then they sit and watch, and they make the decision. So somebody there, and the reason I bring that all up is because somebody's making these cosplays for people in
Right.
real life, and I
Right.
think it's cool. And the whole what's really interesting, the whole like where Gojo's just kind of following her around at shows and like holding her stuff, that's
Yeah.
real.
That
That's
is.
real.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
so many cosplayers, and a lot of cosplayers are female. There's so
Mhm.
many cosplayers that have like the boyfriend that's off to the side, like holding the stuff, helping them. That boyfriend
Just because you need
maybe,
to patch things up and all that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
or that boyfriend's
Okay.
taking pictures, the boyfriend's making sure people aren't getting weird. Maybe that
Yeah.
boyfriend made the cosplay, maybe that boyfriend made the props or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a cosplayer here in Texas. She goes by Danielle's Galaxy. She actually gave me some of her photos to use for some of our advertising materials.
Okay.
She does some great cosplays, and she's really, really known well for her props. She has
Right.
really cool props. So she did a free run that has free run staff, and it has a
Oh,
motor on the edge with a little LED, and
I think I've
it'll,
seen that
yeah,
one.
it'll
That
spin,
was
and then
her.
she'll hold it out, and it's got like the spell on it. Yeah. And then
Wow.
she has a Shinomiya from Kaiju number 8 with the
Okay.
massive axe. And so her, I believe it's her, I don't know if it's her boyfriend or her husband, he
Mhm.
makes the props for her,
Wow.
and she makes the outfits and the wigs. And so I've run into her all over the place
Just
at
a crazy duo, dude.
cons.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he's always there holding her
Mhm.
stuff, helping her
Mhm.
with the camera, taking pictures. So the whole Gojo being on the sidelines watching, that's a very real thing that a lot of
Yeah.
cosplayers
Yeah.
have somebody helping them. So I think him being there and
Mhm.
him showing the making of the cosplays is very accurate and very real
Right. Right.
in the life of most cosplayers. And I think it works. I think it shows a cool side of it that a lot of people might not see in the cosplay world.
Yeah. I see the fact that like when he's even going out just searching for a wig, how very invested he was in this. And I think it's also what later shows in the show, like how much she cares for him. But the amount of investment he does just to help her, because for him, he's going to put out good quality. He wants to make sure whatever he does, he wants to put his name on it. That's fine. But I think the searching, the time, the effort, it really does make cosplayers look look like it's a craft instead of just like something they enjoy doing. It's actual craft. But then also when you brought up the fact that he goes there to the conventions, I think that's great because one thing is, yes, I think these cosplayers, one thing for safety wise is you should have someone there to make sure, for all safety purposes. But then also though, the way he's able to see the amount of enjoyment that she's going through being in this cosplay because this is what she loves to do, but also not that, but his art is bringing joy to others. So people who do make the cosplays that are there too, maybe to help fix it, make sure they can take care of it. I hope also with the cosplayers too, like the manufacturers of them seeing this happen, they could take something from Gojo and be like, this is bringing joy to somebody. This is not just for a competition. This isn't just for this. Like I brought joy to somebody and somebody also had joy doing this. So I think that's one thing to look at. But the last question I have about this too is, do you think this is a romance anime? And if you think it's a romance anime, do you think it's a top tier? Now, mind, you're only 5 episodes in, but do you think this is like one of the best romance animes? Because some people do deem it one of the best romance animes of all time.
I mean, I haven't watched enough romance anime to say that, but
Mhm.
it's good enough and has an interesting enough plot to keep me going. Now, there's a bunch of romance anime that I started like episode 1 or 2 and was like, yeah, I'm done with that. So I will say that within the first 2 episodes, it had enough to it to keep me
Keep you
coming back,
going.
to make me
Okay.
laugh, to make it what I find is I want it to be relatable. And so I really enjoy when a rom-com
Okay.
does the relatable awkward stuff. It's like, "Oh
Hmm.
yeah, I remember that." Like
Hmm.
I remember the first time that I was a teenager and I had a pretty girl in my room and how freaking nervous I was and how she was not very nervous and like
My
oblivious.
man.
Like I remember these things, right? Like
Right, right. Yeah.
I can relate. So I like it
Hmm.
when shows make things relatable. Best of all, one of the best of all time. I don't know. It's clear to me that it's a romance anime,
Okay.
but I like the comedic elements to it. There's another romance anime that I really, really like because it's so relatable. It's
Hmm.
called Love is Hard for an Otaku. Have you ever heard of that? Bro, it's
Yes.
so good. And here's the cool thing about Love is Hard for an Otaku. They're adults.
Yeah.
So it's not from the high school perspective, it's from the perspective of these, 20 somethings that work and all these people that they work with and like their lives and like
Very cute. Yeah. Very.
one of
Yeah.
them is an otaku and she wants to have a boyfriend and the guy's like, well, why don't you just date an otaku? And she goes, ew. It's like it's so funny and relatable and
Oh man, they
hilarious.
can't win. Well, I mean, that's another thing too. Is sometimes it's very realistic, and a lot of people too. They kind of give it. They kind of see it as a bad thing of saying us grown adults, if you want to call us unks or whatever, us watching any type of form of romance anime. And I understand because there's times where I'm watching certain animes, I'm like, okay, this is a little bit weird. I don't feel comfortable watching this. But watching just a generic romance anime, whether they're in high school, whether they're in college, whether they're, in the work field, all that, we've all experienced that in some point of our lives or wanted to experience that in some point of our lives. So seeing stuff like Horimiya, that one right there is a great high school based one. That right there was so cute, so adorable to watch it because it's just very generic high school stuff that happens. Now transfer to Golden Time, which is college based. That right there, when they're going out to mixers, parties, stuff like that, that right there is very relatable as that. Then you have Love is Hard for an Otaku, the workforce, the
They're
working
all
in the field and all that
salary
too.
men working a
Yeah,
job.
all that stuff. So there's always something to be relatable from it. Now, whether what time you are. Now, when it dives into deeper stuff than that for like in high school or even middle school, that's a bit much now. That's a bit much for me. But I can enjoy a good rom-com. I can enjoy a good romance anime anytime. But I think the enjoyment is going to be ruined right now because I'm going to tell you about something that has just baffled me that it was animated. I do not understand how this was animated. A new a new anime came out this summer. It's called Tokopi's Original Sin. Have you heard anything about it?
No.
Uh
Actually, people have commented on my videos
okay.
saying like, "Hey, go watch this and tell me what you think about that." And I'm like, "I don't know what that is."
So recently I made a video talking about must watch animes for the summer. Now, there's one I left out, even though I will be watching it. I refuse to put it in this list. Reason why is because it is messed up. It really, I don't know how it got animated, but it did. Now, people who read the manga, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a very well-known manga that got turned into an anime and just got greenlit. The first episode was, I think, 36 or 38 minutes. Right off the bat, starting something different. Now, again, when we go into about the 30-minute times, stuff like we can talk about that with Lord of Mysteries. But right now,
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
about Tokopi's. This anime, and a brief summary about it, because like I said, I want you to really understand how crazy this is. You have a girl. Obviously, you can tell she's in distress. She's very, looks like she's malnourished. She doesn't really care about her clothes. She's just walking to school. And this is middle school. Keep in mind. Now, walking to school, she sees all these concrete tubing that you'd use for like sewer systems or something like that on the side of the road.
Cisterns. Yeah.
Yeah. She goes over to him and she goes, "Hello, is somebody there?" Out comes a octopus looking, kind of imagine assassination classroom teacher, right? The teacher, how
Okay.
he looked with all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that, the stretching, all of that, but just really shrunken down into a ball. Okay. Named Tokopi. So
Like
this
the
right here,
Pokemon?
it kind of looks like a Pokemon,
No, no,
but
like the Pokemon Togepi. There's a Pokemon named Togepi.
okay. Well, I don't know that much about Pokemon.
Okay,
I need to
okay.
get into that sphere. That's a whole different time. But so there's Tokopi, who is from another planet. You find out that Tokopi is from another planet, and her planet is like Planet Happy or something like Planet Happy Coon, something like that. And what her goal in life is to travel the universe and spread happiness. That's pretty much what it is. So she finds this girl, and her name is Shizuka. I think that's her name, Shizuka. And she finds her and she's like, oh, my job is to give happiness. Let me help you. So what she does is gives her gadgets. She can form these magical gadgets, gifts out of nowhere. She pulls out this little ring with some wings on it. She says, if you put this on, you can fly. Now, you go up to any kid, right? Elementary, middle school, or whatever age you are.
Like, oh, sweet.
You give them ability to fly, they're going to take that. They're going to want that. They're going to say yes. So right off the bat, she says, no, that won't help. That won't help. And so then you're intrigued. You're like, okay, what's going on? Tokopi, the whole thing is she's clueless. Tokopi is clueless. She never knows what's going on because she comes from a planet happy. So she's never experienced pain. She's never experienced sadness, any of that. So she doesn't know what's going on. She's like, okay, fine. Let me find another gadget. Here's a gadget with a camera. You take the camera, boom, it has special features. Again, Shizuka's like, you can just use your phone. But he's like, oh, it's got a special, or she goes, it has a special feature on it. And right before she's about to show this special feature, she gets up and walks away. Shizuka. Then what happens is the next day, she's like, you know what? I'm trying to find something I can do to make you happy. Couldn't find anything happy. She follows her home one day. And because you can tell she's being bullied, she's being abused, all this stuff. She follows her home one day. She finds she has a dog. That dog comes up, licks her face. Now, this is the first time, keep in mind, the first time she's actually smiled through the whole anime, when the dog's licking her face. Then they decide to go on a walk. She's telling her how she can't find any happiness. She's telling her about what her mom does. Her mom, her job is to accompany people, specifically men.
Mom's an escort.
So that, yes.
Okay.
And so Tokopi goes, okay, what about your dad? She says, I don't have a dad. Tokopi, being clueless, keep in mind, she's like, oh, in this world, they must be able to just generate, you know, what's the like mono something like that, like a mono organism where they can just produce by one person.
Yeah.
They don't need a father. Like I said, Tokopi doesn't understand. Next day, Tokopi's waiting for her because everything ended well. They went for a walk. She's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. It seemed like Shizuka was going to be happy. Next day, Shizuka, they cut straight to her. She is obviously beaten badly. She is like bruises, marks all over her, holding the collar of her dog, just clenched at the end of the road. Assumptions could be made of what happened, but you never really find out exactly. So what happens is, here comes Tokopi. That was the thing that was around your dog's neck, right? She's like, and then, you know, she's trying to like defer the question or something like that. Whatever. She's like, oh, here, you know what? You must have gotten into a fight with a friend. That's why she's all beaten and bruised. She's like, oh, I got in a fight with somebody. She's like, oh, you got a fight with your friend? How about this? If you want to be closer to your friend, take this rope and you can tie it around. It can stretch really far and it'll never get tangled. So you can always be together. She's like, and when she sees that, her eyes change. She's like, okay, let me have it. Takes the rope. And there's rules for the gadgets. You're like they said, you're not supposed to leave them with gadgets. You have to be like supervising with gadgets, and you can't take them to your other planet and all that. But Tokopi already decided, you know, I'm gonna take her to Happy Planet. Then also I'm gonna let her take this gadget by herself. She takes the rope, goes back to her house. Tokopi stays there. Hours have gone by. Tokopi's like, what's going on? What's taking so long? Maybe I should tell her, you know, how to use it properly because of what's going on. Because like, you know, it might get tangled, it might get tied up around something, whatever. Tokopi goes to the house. You can see it's trashed everywhere. And then you can assume what Shizuka used with the rope. Something like that, you weren't going to think was going to be animated, right? But right from the start of this anime, they had a viewer discretion. And you know exactly what's going to happen. When you see a viewer discretion happening right before the anime even starts, you know exactly what's going to happen. But the manga definitely illustrated it. The thing you were not expecting, a lot of people weren't expecting, is that they were going to animate what happened in that house. And of course, yes, it does have a somewhat happier, and it goes even to more deeper, even darker past that.
This is very intriguing. Like I'm a huge fan of of intriguing stories, whether they're dark or not. I want to watch this just because it seems different.
And like I said, it gets even darker after that too. Now, when you take a look at that, they did such a good job with this animation because when you're watching it, you're like, okay, it's cute. It's funny. Like the animation style isn't too serious. Then you hear the music. Again, it's bright. It's uplifting. But then they just cut it to a whole different gear to where you were not expecting to go like that. And then there's more that goes on with it. And yes, if you do see Shizuka again, but it's just, so much that I was not expecting for an anime to animate something like that, because it honestly gives you the same aspect of watching Goblin Slayer episode 1. It gives you the same aspect as when I was talking about B Tomb. Now with B Tomb in episode 2, they censored it a little bit. You know, they still let you go they let you know what happened, but they censored that. The manga didn't. Now the manga, like I said, it's dark and it's rough, but man, they went all out for the anime on this one. So like anyone who does watch it, do keep in mind, do be warned. It is not meant for the lighthearted, even though the anime might look cute, even though cover might look cute. But you got to realize, though, the reason why it's called Tokopi's Original Sin, first off, you realize it's about Tokopi. All right, that's what you realize, because the whole anime is going to be based off of Tokopi. Even though you think it's going to be about Shizuka and all the other main characters that are supposed to be in it, no, it's about Tokopi. That's why it's called Tokopi's Original Sin. Tokopi's original sin was going against her rules, going against all this of being from what she's been taught and raised to, and how she's learning that how her world and this world are completely different. And it amazes me of exactly like I have no idea what's going on.
So
and
this
what's
is
going to
brand new.
Yes, it just released the first episode, and this was, I think, June 28th. And I kid you not, it is good. It honestly, the story and how it's building, I thought there was a lot that happened in the first episode, but it still made me want to watch it. It didn't like give me a bad taste. I hated it. It was very uncomfortable to watch, but I really enjoyed it though, because
I'm gonna have to watch this because it seems very, like I said, it seems very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's exactly the opposite of how you're like. If you're going into this, that's why I'm also trying to like tell people to, if you're going into this thinking it's gonna be a lighthearted, fun anime, or how about, you know, Tokopi's gonna be able to change her. Don't go in that way as your full expectation. It could happen. It could. Yeah. I haven't read the manga.
Well, I think it's so great when I think it's so great when things are told in juxtaposing ways to create shock value, right?
Yes. Like, the shock is there.
That's great. One of the things that I always loved growing up was the band Third Eye Blind, because if you listen to Third Eye Blind's music, the beat is upbeat, the tone is light and cheery, the actual note, the actual keys, everything are happy keys. So it's all written as happy music, but the lyrics of all of their songs are very dark. And so you can listen to it and you're like bopping, you're like, oh, this is great. But then if you're an actual fan that wants to learn the lyrics, you're like, oh, they're writing about like some serious like topics here.
Yeah.
But it's all upbeat and light, creates this very interesting juxtaposition in the actual content of what you're, very unique. That's what that reminds me of, which is sounds very, very interesting. And so it's one of those ones that's 38 minutes long, which is cool.
I think it's only just for the first episode. Now,
well, Lord of the Mysteries, the first 2 episodes were 35 plus minutes long.
That's true. So I think also this anime is supposed to only have 6 episodes. And like I said, the first
like
episode was heavy.
Mini series. Yeah.
I think it might be a mini series. Now, I don't know too much about it because like I just went into it off a whim. I was like, oh, you know what? Let me see what this, because I literally was going to go in and while I was making the list of animes I was going to recommend people, I was going off of like trailers I was watching and stuff like that. I looked at this one. I was like, okay, this is kind of cute, but I've heard so many people talking about it. And I was like, but what's it about? What is this? But nobody's talking about how rough it is. And it really, it's good. I think I like how anime does that, because sometimes when you're watching something that is so dark and gritty about that, it is good to have that lightness at the back end though. So you can kind of like, it's not like when you're watching a scary movie, when you turn it off, all right, you know, I need to watch some comedy now to make sure I can go to bed,
for sure.
Not check behind the shower or anything like that. You want to make sure you're good.
Yeah.
But with this, it really did make me want to keep on watching it. Now, that's only like 12 minutes I just gave you of like the 36
I'm
episodes.
probably going to watch it tonight, and I'm upset now because I like to make content on the things that I find interesting. I'm leaving for LA tomorrow for Anime X. There's no way I can make content. There's no way I can make a video on it.
Hey, if you know what, don't worry, I'll make a video. But honestly, I'm telling you right now, man, it is it's I think it might be the sleeper anime of the season, because I also heard one content creator claim it to be like the first episode made him feel like watching Frieren. And I was like, that's a heavy thing to say. Now, reason why I understand what he was coming at was when you're watching it, they are building a story. They're building a long story. But at the same time, like I said, if they're keeping to that 6 episodes, they have a lot to fill in there, and it's they're not holding back on anything. Like I said, there's one thing I do want to talk about when you do watch it, because I don't want to give any spoilers what happens after. It really did put a different twist on how things were going to be. But now, expecting on how things are supposed to be, let's talk about Lord of Mysteries.
Yes, it was very, very, very good. Very interesting. I had like I watched both episodes. I'm assuming you did too.
No, I've not seen any of it. I've just only heard the back end of it. Yeah.
So I did make a video on this. I watched them, very high expectations. And first of all, the animation is really, really good. Looks very, very good. I go into episode 1 and I'm like, oh, these are like 37-minute episode, and this other one's like 38 minutes. I was like, these are going to be long. I did read a brief synopsis where somebody was like, hey, episode 1 is super fast and confusing, and then episode 2 starts to unpack things. And that's exactly how episode 1 is, like super, super fat. They pack so much information in that 30 some odd minutes. But not only are they packing so much information, it is everything is moving so fast in that first episode. And then the second episode, things slow down a hair and you actually start to see a little bit of what's going on, and it's really good. And what I've seen and heard from people is they're like, hey, they've done this intentionally. They've packed a ton of information in here so that it can be unpacked later. And so what's kind of cool is that, like, because the situation the main character's in is super confusing and chaotic.
This is an isekai, right?
It's an isekai, yeah.
Okay.
And because what this main character is going through is so confusing and chaotic, the feel of the first episode definitely pulls that off, because you're like, what's happening? And so somebody commented on my video and really like broke it down, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing everything that they're saying makes sense. Basically what happens is in episode 1, it's an isekai, which I didn't realize, but you have this guy, his name's Sho. I'm going to probably pronounce everything wrong. Sho from like our world, and he's from China, and he finds this like ceremony for good luck or something like this. And he performs this ceremony for good luck. And then that ceremony transmigrates him to another world, and he's in the body of Klein Moretti. And he has translated him into the world right when Klein Moretti had, offed himself. And in this other world, what had happened is they had found some diary and read a ritual from a diary, Klein Moretti and 2 of his associates or friends, and it caused them all to off themselves. And so this transmigration happens. He gets isekai'd into this guy's body. Right as that happens, wakes up with a bullet hole in his head, and he's healing. And then he sees these other people that are dead, and that's how it starts, like a freaking rocket. And
like
then
not holding any punches or anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then so he's trying to figure out what's going on. These inspectors come to his door to like ask him questions about, his
with
friend.
like the body still there.
Yeah. Well, no, because the bodies are in a different place. He was he was here on his own. And I'm probably missing a few details because it's very, very confusing.
I'm about to say, like, if he's surrounded by, like, if you woke up and right after you just, offed yourself, and then you woke up in someone else's body and you're healing and you see 2 other bodies around you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably dodging.
Different locations, right?
Okay.
And so so what has happened is that transmigration, that transportation to another world has like muddled his memories together. Where like he remembers some stuff from his other life and he remembers some stuff from Klein's life, right? And then so he grabs this ritual book again and tries to do this ritual again, and that causes him to like transport to this area called like the Gray Realm, and he draws in these 2 other like sorcerer characters called the Justice and the Hanged Man. And because he drew them in, they think that he's some type of like really omniscient, powerful being. And so he's like, yeah, he goes along with it because he's like, hey, maybe I'll be able to find out more information about what the heck's happening if I just let them think I'm this being. And so then that happens. And then these inspectors come to ask him questions about the deaths. And little does he know, but these inspectors, it's actually his dream being manipulated by one of the inspectors who's a beyonder who has this special spiritual power. So he's actually dreaming as these inspectors come and ask him all these questions so that they can actually like get his real answers from him. And he wakes up from this dream. And then like all this crazy stuff happens, dude.
Oh.
And basically at the end of that episode, like they come to him and they're like, so the inspector who is a Beyonder and this other
Mhm.
lady who's a Beyonder, they come to him and basically say, hey, if you want answers, you can, like, we're not here to babysit you. You can figure it out on your own, or you can come with us and you can come
Oh,
and
okay.
come be a Beyonder. And so they invite him in because this transmigration plus this where he like went into this gray mist realm left him with
Mhm.
some kind of like abilities. And so these Beyonders see that. So they're like, hey, let's go ahead and invite him in to be one of us so that we can like keep him close. And then you learn in episode 2, like in this world that he's been transported to, this world has 22 cursed potions, and it's numbered 1 through 22. And
Mhm.
if you drink the potion, then it gives you special abilities. And each
Can you drink all
potion,
of them?
I don't know.
Okay.
And then each potion has its own special set of abilities that'll give you. And the
Mhm.
lower the number of the potion, so like potion 1 or 2 or 3, the more powerful the abilities are. So if you drank
Okay.
potion number 22, your abilities would be less powerful than if you drank potion number
Number
6, right?
1. Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
so he gets invited into this group and they're like, hey, we have access to these 4 potions.
Mhm.
Choose which one that you want. And you're going to be a part of this organization. And then so episode 2 kind of takes you into that. And he takes his potion and he starts to use his abilities. It goes on his first case. Very interesting.
Wow.
Very, very good.
Right.
And I had somebody in one of my comments break it all down. They were like, here's this 30 minutes
Isn't
of
that so nice
insanity.
to have sometimes?
Right.
Like
And so I
when you
read
have
this
someone
whole
who
thing and I was like, you're
and
awesome for that.
that because sometimes we're human. We don't fully know everything that's going on, right? We can't dissect everything, but sometimes it's also good to get another perspective. So sometimes when you have someone to give that extra information, I love that.
So from what I've heard is they packed the first 60 chapters of the
Yeah, I was about
like
to talk about that.
the web comic or the web novel, whatever it was, in the first episode.
Yeah.
So there's a lot packed into that first episode, which
So
lends
what
to the
I
chaos of what he's going through. But really, I mean, starts off really like I'm definitely intrigued. I want to
yeah,
continue watching, and
I'm probably gonna watch it tonight,
yeah,
dude.
it's beautiful. The only thing that I really didn't like is because it's only in Chinese right now.
Right. Yeah.
The Chinese dub is not that good. Some of the characters are like, I don't know if it's just the voice actors were quiet or
hmm
like the actual quality of the audio recording isn't
hmm
good. Some of the characters are so quiet you can barely hear them, which is irrelevant because you have subtitles, right? But just for auditory, like you can hear
yeah.
some characters perfectly well, and then you have another
hmm
character like they're talking to each other, and so one's talking like this, and the other one starts talking really it's like that, and it's very like
Yeah.
it'll throw you off. But because of the subtitles, like you can get past it. That was my only gripe was that, but really good, and it's definitely like it's got some creepy elements to it for sure, like
Okay.
some cool mystery, but like some
Yeah.
creepy stuff, like eldritch horror, like horror beasts and stuff. It's wild.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I know. Like I said, I'm watching after this, but what I did hear was a lot about the dub. I know there was a lot of backlash with that because I think you weren't the only one that experienced this, and also experienced some issues with the subtitles, if I believe.
Okay.
Now, with it comes to dub, I know when COVID came out and a lot of new animes were coming out, you could definitely, especially with being an audiophile, you could tell when people were recording at their house or who was just kind of like very new to voice acting, which that's fine. It wasn't terrible because it's brought us a lot of new voice actors now who have the ability to have more fancier equipment and get that nice vocals. But I understand when you're saying when you have that someone's talking at different volumes. Now the quality doesn't need to be there, but at least have it on the same volume though.
Yeah.
That's not really that hard,
And
especially if someone's talking softer.
it could be just I'm not used to watching a lot of things in Chinese. Like I watch a
Mhm.
lot in Japanese and I watch a lot in English. It
Right.
could just be that that's the way the actor's portraying somebody that has a more subdued like personality.
Calm, softer voice,
Yeah, it's
maybe? Okay.
possible.
Yeah.
But even so, like it's a little hard to hear. But it's really good. Like it makes
Yeah.
me want to go read it. It was that good. The animation on it
Really?
was phenomenal. Very,
So
very fantastic.
what I know about this anime is that it's a danwa, which
Mhm.
means it's
Chinese
Chinese
origin.
based.
Yeah.
Then also I heard that it was either 2 episodes or was it 3 episodes that were released like when it first came out?
2 back to back. Yeah.
2 back to back. Okay. I also know that they did between, I think, like 60 to 70 chapters within those 2 episodes, which we can break that down. Also, the fact is there was, again, subtitle issues. The fact is also that you brought to attention to that I found out that is that AI relations, maybe AI might be attracted to this. Now, first off, we'll kind of break down each one with that, with the 1 to 60 chapters being used in this first episode or even first 2 episodes. Do you think that would be very off-putting to a lot of people? Because now people are claiming this anime to be the anime of the summer, maybe even almost anime of the year. People are claiming that. Do you think that might put people off on watching this because of how fast-paced it is? Some people might not want to stick around, or do you think it's done right?
I think it was really smart that they put out 2 episodes together, because if they would have just put the first episode out, a lot of people would have been left like, huh, that's really weird. Maybe not being super interested to watch the second episode when it came out a week later. But putting them out, because I definitely felt that way. I was like, this was very strange. I want to go ahead and watch the second one so I can see what the heck was going on. So that was
Right.
very helpful, is having the second episode. So I think that was smart. I'm sure they did that intentionally so that you can get into and you're just like, oh, okay, it's not going to maintain this weird, chaotic pace, at least throughout the whole show. I don't know if that'll be like, I think it was okay it being that fast, specifically because you could go and watch the next one and realize the pace slowed down. And anybody, I made a video talking about people like the anime community losing its ability to critically think. So
Yeah, we talked about that
as
last
long
time.
as you
Yeah.
have a little bit of ability to critically think and be like, okay, maybe this just isn't chaotic for the sake of being chaotic. Maybe it's chaotic because they're trying to like model the chaos that this character is going
Mhm.
through within this first 24 hours of all this crazy crap happening, like
Yeah.
very, very psychedelic almost.
Yeah.
If you can, because I thought that, I was like, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and I'm going to assume that's what's happening, not that it's just crazy chaos. So I think they did it right. Now, who knows what's going to happen over the next, I'd say this anime probably has 3 to 4 episodes to really hook people in. But if it continues along the path that the second episode did, then I think it definitely will.
So I just looked it up. It's planned to have, I think, 13 episodes.
Okay.
Now they're supposed to be ranging from 30 minutes. Now I also heard it was the first 2 episodes weren't the traditional 22 to 24 minutes
They were
long.
like 38 minutes long.
So again, that right there, is that worth it or not? Could you have gone for, instead of doing 13 episodes, could you gone for like maybe a 16 episode? I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but when you talk about the critical thinking, I think that's a great point, because also that's what I think it's going to happen to Tokopi. When people watch that first episode, they're going to be so off put of not wanting to continue because it's just, they're not willing to realize what the anime is trying to talk about, what it's really trying to get the point across. And so it took me a little bit just to sit back and like, okay, they're going in a very dark direction, but there's a reason behind it, and there's something to learn from it, because it's also some stuff that happens and it's very frustrating. You're like, this just happened, or if that just happened, but you realize cause and effect definitely does have an issue with this anime. But that could be the same thing with this one right here. It might be very fast paced, trying to draw you in really quick, to then where it has the rest of the 12 episodes to kind of give some answers behind what's happening, maybe to also drag it out if they need to, or maybe just to slow it down. Now, I've seen with animes like Freerun, going a slow pace pays off. But at the same time, though, it might not be appreciated as something as Soul Leveling, which we've also talked about that too. I think if they can find the middle ground, I really do think it'll be a great anime. And what I've heard from it, it could be. But what also could put people off with this is the amount of controversy that's having. Like I said, it could be anime of the year, it could be anime of the summer, but it can't and it shouldn't be involved with AI.
I agree.
I think what I've heard and what you showed me too was the fact is they had some side stories
Right. So
being generated.
to be clear, it's not saying that anything about the anime itself
currently, yes,
nothing about the anime itself is involved with AI at this time, right?
And all
of
this is technically, I guess you would say allegedly, all of this hasn't been proven factual.
Allegedly, but the stuff that was being accused of being generated by AI
it's very fishy.
mysteriously got deleted. Basically,
Yes.
what happened is, so the
Thank you.
Lord of the
Yeah.
Mysteries, the show came out, and there was a bunch of like side story web novels that were
Mhm.
released simultaneously. So like
Under the author's name as well.
not, but yeah, but no, yes, but the speculation is that he didn't actually have anything to do with it.
Exactly. See, that's
Um,
what makes it so fishy,
yeah,
though, because having his name on it would boost it more. But if he didn't write it, why put his name on it? I
yeah.
continue.
So there's like eight side stories that aren't the main story that we're getting in the anime, but they're side related
Mhm.
stories, right? That the long short of it is people realize they read through them, and then 6 of the 8 side stories were very, very, very similar to some fan fiction stories that had been written, and people deduced that these were written with AI, and that
Mhm.
as those accusations came out, they were just all 8 of those side stories were just mysteriously deleted. They were just gone all of a sudden, which kind
Which
of seems guilty.
it seems like, because around this time, a lot of people called. Oh, sorry about that. A lot of people called him out for AI, and around this time, when they're not saying yes or no to AI, they just randomly delete the 6 to 8 side stories without saying anything about it. That seems very fishy, trying to cover their tracks potentially or allegedly. So I don't know, with that being tied, and you know how it is so far with AI being tied to the anime community is already a sore subject. Now, I think AI has its place for almost everything, but I do not believe it has its place for AI animated like scenes, AI stories, AI
AI
voice acting.
voiceovers.
Yes, I think that's where it needs to be drawn a line. Now, do I think them backing away from the AI was the right decision with Lord of the Mysteries? I think so. Yes, because right now with the first episode, with how they're doing this anime so far, it's going to be ruffling a lot of feathers. Tie AI into that, that's you're looking for a tsunami now. So that happened. Now, backtracking, we can also talk about is what Crunchyroll is doing, which honestly, it really doesn't surprise me when I've heard about this. And for those who don't know, we're going to talk about how Crunchyroll is backing away from AI use. But Crunchyroll obviously only does things that I've seen so far to benefit themselves, not the actual user.
Which
What they're
is the
trying to do,
stereotypical standard,
big
like
government, well, not big
modus
government, big corporation.
operandi for any business, right? Like
Yes.
most businesses aren't doing things to help the user.
Work
Most
one day,
businesses are
retail,
just,
you understand.
yeah, yeah, worked retail for 17 years. Most businesses are doing things to make money. Not all.
Mm-hmm.
I have worked
No.
for some businesses that are like, hey, we're going to be customer focused, right? Most businesses are like, what's going to make us the most money, which is why like Netflix continues to raise its prices, even though they have millions and millions of subscribers every
Oh,
month.
dude. Literally watch
Heaven
Squid
forbid,
Games.
heaven
Oh,
forbid they need to make more than hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We need to increase the prices for Netflix, whatever. Oh my gosh, we're not
dude.
going to get on that soapbox. But
Well, hold on. First off, I want to say this real quick. With Squid Games, we just finished it this weekend.
I just saw that the new one came out. I haven't watched the new
Dude,
one.
the third season, right? First off, they didn't really announce the release as much as
It
I was
just
expecting them to
happened.
do. It just happened,
Yeah.
right? Which everyone knew was going to happen, but it just happened. My wife's like, "Oh, today it released." I was like, "Oh yeah, it did." So we found it. It wasn't even on the front page of Netflix, which you think it would. Their number one most. What really got me though is that my wife did a little bit of digging, and apparently they're going to be doing a prelude season of apparently number one, the old guy who was in the
Yeah.
games. Apparently they're supposed to do his games. Potentially, might even do the was the headmaster, the guy with the full on black, like the brother. They're supposed to be doing his games apparently, and now they're tying into even other parts of the like the United States. They're trying to do. They might even do like different countries. So I feel like they're taking something and running with it, because the main author himself, I think he said he only wanted to do one season, but then Netflix threw him a bunch of
Yeah.
money, and here's season 2 and 3, which yes, they were good. Now, is it the way I wanted it ended? It's kind of like if you've seen Attack on Titan, you in how it ended. I think you kind of know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
but
You're like, it makes sense. So I
it
haven't
makes
seen the
sense.
new season yet. I don't know how it ended. Season 1
It's
was
it's good,
a masterpiece.
but in my
See,
mindset, I would have been happy with just season 1 and then left it there. I would have been fine. Now I feel like they're beating a dead horse. But getting back into AI and anime with Crunchyroll, like I said, they're backing out, and it looks like they're trying to still use AI, save money, but the way they're using it is to help the user themselves, maybe to help us. I'm a little game to it. Like I said, I've never been a big fan of Crunchyroll. I know you are. But what they're doing with AI is they're trying to help with the user experience, recommendations, and also just the UI itself.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm okay with that. If you want to use it for your website,
Yeah.
you want to do that, I'm fine with that. Keep it away from voice acting. Keep it away from the stories. Keep it away from the animation. I mean, it's already bad enough that you have some people, relentlessly using CGI in certain animes just to help it out when it really drives my gears. But I really do think that backing away from it is the good thing for Crunchyroll because the backlash was going to be relentless on that. And I'm not sure if it was them or somebody else, because I know me and you talked about this briefly, but like if they were the ones that kind of were on the back end or the backlight one of the animes that was going to be all AI based. I don't know if they're the ones like endorsing it or not.
I remember hearing about that,
but
and then,
I knew it was not well received.
Yeah,
I knew it was not.
But so Crunchyroll did come out saying that they were going to use AI for like subtitles and a few things, right? And then they have received so much backlash that, to their credit, they came out officially and backed off, saying like, "Hey, AI will not be used in any of the creative production process for anime." Period, which I think is good, and being in the fortunate position that I'm in to get to meet so many voice actors and interview them, I would say that it is 100% unanimously, vehemently hated by voice actors, because people are like, studios are wanting to like write into contracts like, hey, we're going to give you this job, sign your contract, but in your contract says we can use your voice in perpetuity for AI purposes.
For AI, and then that also takes away for video games and everything else later on in the future. Yeah,
and it's horrible, because it's like, if you take the human element out of the creative process of this stuff, you're going to lose a lot. It's not going to be as enjoyable. It's not always about the mighty dollar. Like, it's not, you're going to make a subpar product. And I think there's a clip that surfaced of ReZero that's a full AI made clip of ReZero. And it's
it just
just like
feel the same.
Yeah, it's a dialogue scene. It feels like 85, 90% the same. You can tell, but it's like, that's wild how close it is. It's
AI's
very,
gotten
very
better.
close. Yes.
But at the same time, what you said was perfect. The emotion, the creativity itself, you can't match that. I mean, when you have Goku, what's his name again? Isn't it Sean
Schemmel? Yeah.
Sean Schemmel, that's it. When he was in the booth and the whole, I would not let you, like was it Destroy My World or something? His
I'll never let you destroy my world.
That right there, you see him in the booth. That dude is giving it his all. Where the fact is, I think he also said he passed out or almost passed out during that process. He's giving it everything. Now, yes, it would be easier to do AI for that. But do you think that emotion would have hit the same?
No,
do you think you would have heard it in the voice? Because you have to think about this. All right, with AI, everything's going to be perfect. Vocals for us, it's going to be all over the place. AI, perfect. Yeah. So you think like the crackiness, all that stuff. When you have,
there's certain elements of emotionality that aren't perfect, and that's what makes it so right. Think about Tokyo Ghoul, when Ken Kaneki is getting tortured by Jason. Like,
dude,
how could you artificially reproduce that to have that feeling? Or in Jujutsu Kaisen season 2, or Jujutsu Kaisen season 2, the Japanese voice actor of Yuji Itadori, after he wakes up from Sukuna taking over his body and he realizes what he's done, like, I won't spoil anything, but like, he just breaks down and is just screaming in anguish because he realizes what's happened. Like, you can replicate that, but you're not going to get the same feeling behind it. It's just not going to be the same.
Same thing with when we're talking about cosplay too. Yes, you can buy something offline too, but you can respect the effort that someone put into making their costume and the joy they did. It's an art form. Now, when you have, say, like I said, Alex Lee, always talk about him because I just love watching him in the booth. That is just pure art right there. That is amazing to see someone right there willing to give it their all. The man, when he's fighting the bug, dude, he is jumping around the booth. He's giving slashes, everything.
He's actually acting.
He's doing it. He's a part of it. He's living, breathing that character. Could AI do that? I really don't believe so. No. Like I said, AI is getting really, really well. And it's fun to see your Sasquatch videos all over TikTok. It's fun to see that. But leave it away from anime.
Yeah. Well,
Because
I've even had I've had multiple companies reach out to me
oh, dude, I'm
because
so sick of it.
yeah, like, hey, help us promote this AI tool that makes
I won't
AI.
do it.
And I'm like,
I won't do it.
blanket, I don't care how much you offer me. I'm never gonna say yes. I will never
Mm.
support anything that is AI and anime together. Like, it's just not it's not gonna happen. Like, I'm
Look to your favorite voice actor, type in whatever you want
yeah,
and hear what they say. No, I would
yeah.
rather get to the person and hear them say it themselves. What do you think? Conventions, everyone goes up to their favorite voice actor, say, "Hey, can you say this? Can you say that?" We don't need AI for that. I
Yeah.
get so many, oh, dude, so
Yeah.
many brands that reach out to me to talk about AI and also involving that with anime. No, I will never do that. It's not going to happen. There's not a price for it. No, I'm fully on board with people who want to reach out with like certain stuff when it comes to anime community. I'm willing to listen. I'll hear you out. But if I don't agree with it, I'll say, you know what, thank you, appreciate it, thank you for having me interested in all that, but no, I'm good. Now, when it comes to AI, won't even respond. I won't even look at it half the time, dude. It really, I don't understand why AI needs to have its place for anime. Like I said, if you want to use it for your website, you want to use it for user interface, if you want to help it for recommendations, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I
dude,
think
you
there's
go
a
to
lot
chat.
of useful purposes for AI. I think there's a lot of benefit that you can
Yeah.
have, but you don't I think you have to draw the line. You don't want to use it for your art, because art throughout
Mhm.
the history of humanity is synonymous with humanity. Like, the
Yeah.
human experience that goes behind art is what makes it what it is. And you can say, if we're talking movies or music or anime or manga or literature or actual fine art pieces, like whatever it is, the actual lived human experience that's behind that is what makes it so special. And you get things that happen and think pieces that come out that are unique. You get these
Mhm.
shows that are unique, and you get books and stories that are unique, and you get art pieces that come out that are unique that nobody's ever done before. And it's not because of some algorithm that's put everything together and say, oh, this should work. It's because it comes from a real place. And that's why
Mhm.
I personally, I know a lot of other people really enjoy, my chosen art form is anime. That's the form that I like to experience art, and then music, right, and then reading.
Right.
And we shouldn't be using artificial intelligence to do the artistic things for us. I want artificial intelligence to load my dishwasher and fold my freaking laundry, right? And do that crap, not write my music and create my TV shows, right? Like, and it all comes down to the almighty dollar. It's like, people are going to find ways to make money. And I really am hoping that this will be one of those things where people are like, no, I'm not going to support AI generated art, whether
Mhm.
it's pictures being sold at a convention or anime that's made out of AI or songs that are completely made out of AI. Make it to where it's not profitable and companies won't want to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like AI is a tool and it should be used as such.
Sure.
I don't think it should be the one sitting in the driver's seat. I don't think it should be the one that is like you have a whole anime based off of AI. I think that's crazy because I mean, if you go into ChatGPT and simple as doing a recommendation, hey, I like this anime. Give me some recommendations on watching this. A lot of times it misses the mark.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't understand and grasp how anime is, because there's like, oh, it has this character who died, and this character who also died. Yeah, you should like that. No, you're looking for something that might give you the same emotion, might
Yeah.
give you the same feels
Absolutely.
watching this. But at the same time, too, I really do think, kind of talking about what we were talking about earlier, manga and anime are so separate as it is. And I just recently got into manga. And I'm pretty sure you've had your years and experience of manga. I'm new to this. I didn't understand how different the manga and animes can be. I didn't understand how people they complain about certain scenes and certain things like, oh, it doesn't match up with the manga, it doesn't match up with the anime. I understand that. Now that I've gotten to manga, I do understand why it has these certain things. Anime is meant to take certain scenes, take certain things that might not be able to happen in the real life and push boundaries. I understand that. I'm fully on board with that. Sometimes certain things don't need to be animated. Sometimes certain things do need to be animated. I think it all dives down to, because everyone's like, oh, it didn't match the manga. It dives down to the author or whoever is the head of this studio doing this. Do they want to be authentic to the manga, like, you know, most animes are, or do they want to be like Darling in the Franxx or Akame ga Kill and just go completely off and see what they want to do? Now, for me watching it, my biggest thing is like Doridoro. A friend of mine loves that anime to death, but he says it's nothing like reading the manga, because when you watch it, you get a good gritty feel, but when you when you read the manga itself, it is definitely a whole different thing. You're reading, just like how I was talking about B2, the manga and the anime. Those scenes are completely different. Just like how I was talking about Tokopi, those scenes right there are almost exactly the same, or even probably I would say the anime might go a little bit more into that. Do you think, ultimately what I'm trying to get at is, do you think there's a case for these people complaining and arguing about the manga and the anime? Because for me, honestly, I can appreciate both separately.
I think, man, that's a really complex question. I think there is a case, because I can make a case on both sides. I always believe that this source material should be honored and shouldn't be changed.
Yes.
So this goes into a lot of things, right? So if we're talking about an anime adaptation of a manga, well, why is that anime getting an adaptation of the manga? Because the manga was popular. We should stay true to the source material. Even goes into when we're getting remakes, right? Of remakes of whatever movie, and another movie's getting a remake.
Well, Tokyo Ghoul is like his third remake now or whatever.
We're getting on remakes of anime, remakes of anything. Like, what's the source material that was popular enough to constitute there to be a remake? Okay, the source material came out in 1995, and now we're getting a remake in 2025 just because it was popular. The source material should be honored and not changed, right? So without getting into a whole bunch of semantics, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. The Harry Potter movies, loved them. They didn't change things.
Details too.
They left out a lot because they didn't have the time. There was a ton of key details that were left out just because there wasn't the time. But most of the things were accurate. Like, I didn't like that Dudley should have been much fatter than he actually was in the movies. Whatever, I can get over that. Professor Slughorn is supposed to be obese. Professor Umbridge is supposed to be obese. They're not obese in the movies. Whatever, I can get over that, right? The movies were good. The HBO remake that's coming out, if they don't stay true to the source material that made it popular, it's going to be a flop. That means story, that means character. Like, you can't be changing the story, you can't be changing characters, you got to stay true to the source material, right? So what I'm getting at is, people that are fans of a manga and then they see things in the anime that are changed, that are different from the source material, totally can understand why you're upset about that. I get it. Totally makes sense. But on the flip side, I can understand where the anime adaptation maybe is trying to improve upon the manga, right? Like, maybe trying to do something that the manga couldn't do without changing the story, without changing the characters. So for here, a great example is Kaiju number 8. Staying pretty true to the story, but the manga, the characters are a lot more angular in look, in their faces, a lot more severe. And in the anime, their features are softened a lot, which makes them seem a lot more chibi, lighthearted.
I guess it's more for a demographic they're trying to reach, though.
They're trying to make it seem less serious, right? Because the manga is very brutal and serious.
I think the manga, honestly, if they just stuck with that art style, would have been amazing. But I understand why they did it.
But that's an example, right, where people are upset. So
great example.
I think if people are true fans of the source material and something's been changed and they don't like that, that's valid. That they're valid in those criticisms 100%, right? We saw, like, one of the most popular anime of all times, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because Full Metal Alchemist took liberties and changed from the manga. And then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood comes out and stays pretty darn true and solid with the manga and is lauded as one of the, most popular anime of all time.
So, quick question on that too, because I have never really finished Full Metal Alchemist or Brotherhood, because my first time watching it, hold on, because the first time watching it was I accidentally started watching Brotherhood. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something that happened. Episode 1 just like taking me through a full ride. I'm like, what am I doing? Am I missing something? Okay, maybe it's like one of those animes where they're just showing you what happens, and then maybe they do like a little backtrack next. So I did the second episode. No, it's still going that direction. I was like, I'm missing something. I realized I was watching Brotherhood instead of Full Metal Alchemist. I was like, oh.
You were watching Full Metal Alchemist, not Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
No, I was watching Brotherhood. I was watching Brotherhood before I was watching Full Metal. And so I went to do Full Metal Alchemist, and I started watching. I was like, oh, makes sense. All right. And then show Tucker. Then I continued, even though I was not a stop. I continued. And then after, I'm just like, if I'm being honest, it felt like it was kind of dragging. It was kind of, rinse and repeat anime that I've seen before. But everyone, Full Metal Alchemist isn't rated as the highest. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is. So I was like, maybe I should just do it. But after that, I got so engulfed with the recommendation lifestyle I do now. I just like, if it's go past like 12 episodes, I really can't watch it. That's why I was very surprised I watched Tying the Knot. But I feel like I need to give it another chance. I don't know. Do you think it's important for me to watch the first season or the Full Metal Alchemist? I don't even know if it's considered the first season. Full Metal Alchemist, then watch Brotherhood? Or
so
do you think I just find
one,
Brotherhood?
they're season 2. Full Metal Alchemist changed things from the manga. And so while overall the story is similar, Full Metal Alchemist changed things from the manga to make it different. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood follows the manga pretty good, like pace for pace. So I recommend Brotherhood, and it's very, very good, but it's one of those that like it does tell you things in odd ways and then sets stuff up for you for later, which is really smart. It's a thinking anime for sure, combined with awesome fights and awesome lore, and great like character building and relation and like scenes that'll make you cry. Like probably one of the saddest anime scenes of all time is from Full Metal Alchemist. I won't ruin it for you in case you don't know what it is or what happens, but very, very good.
Question. Have you seen Your Lie in April though?
No, I don't know. I know what happens.
It makes sense. All right, I just want to make sure.
I don't know if I want to go through that. Like,
dude, I was in Texas and I was watching that. It was around, I think it was April. I decided, you know what? Yeah, I was going to watch Your Lie in April. We were in Texas and we were in the hotel and it's like 2-3 o'clock in the morning and I'm bawling my eyes out so much. My wife's like right next to me, fully asleep. I'm just sitting there with my phone, just crying, dude. I literally had to get up and just like go like into the bathroom, just like get some water, and just put on my face because I was dying, dude.
That was me. At the
painful.
end of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, when Cyberpunk Edge Runners ended, I was just like, "Oh man, what the heck is this show? What is this doing? This isn't beautiful, but why is this happening?" Like that was me with Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
So when I used to do my reactions, I actually did a recording. I recorded myself like watching when they first go to the moon. And then the second time when they go to the moon.
Yeah.
And I did a cut to where both of us. And I was like, that was legit me. That was me crying to it. It was so painful to watch. And apparently they're bringing it back.
They're not bringing it back. They're bringing back
different alternate story. But
in the world of, right? So it's
I'm still healing. Yeah. I'm still healing.
It's I mean, I love Cyberpunk Edge Runners so much. I have a custom built Cyberpunk Edge Runners PC. I got David Martinez right there signed by Zach Aguilar. Like,
oh, yeah, I remember seeing your PC, dude. That thing is,
So yeah, it's
nice.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners is a really good one, and it's one of my favorites for sure. But yeah, got to give Full Metal Alchemist a shot. It's very very well rounded, which is why I think it's so popular, because it does a good job of hitting all of the notes that people want, like the free run solo leveling argument. Like solo leveling's just flashy fights. Well, free run has some flashy fights, but a lot of really cool world building and development, right? Well, Full Metal Alchemist takes both of those and puts them together and does a really good job of like, we've got
hence cool why building. It's the number one.
Yeah, we got great stuff. We got great fights, awesome character development, like really good stuff that makes you cry, stuff that makes you angry, stuff that horrifies you, stuff that's funny. Hiromu Arakawa did a fantastic job putting it all together. Yeah, definitely watch Full Metal Alchemist for sure. Got any closing thoughts about what you are looking forward to? Or
honestly,
Saturday, the Summer Hikaru Died comes out, and
I'm not ready for that, man.
And I will be watching it as soon as I get home. I'm very excited about that.
So you're going to Anime Expo. For me, I have the house to myself now. The wife and the baby are gone, so that means anime all day, every day, beer, and bad eating. That's pretty much it. So I'm gonna be having a good time once we're done. Dude, it's gonna be a great time, but at the same time, I have no idea what to watch. I don't know what to start. And I was I know you could do Full Metal Alchemist, yes, but like I kind of want to start watching some of these summer animes that are coming out. So I definitely get on that. But I'm kind of still
Have
into
you
romance,
seen?
so I'll probably watch a romance anime again.
Have you seen Your Name?
Dude, one of the best movies out. I got my wife to watch that one. She enjoyed
I
it.
got my wife to watch it. She was like, "Oh my god, that was amazing." I was like,
Dude,
"Right."
dude.
And then after Your Name, I watched Weathering with You. Really, really good.
Oh,
And then
great.
Suzume by the same guy. Suzume.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's not as good as the first two, but it's still very,
Mhm.
very good. I love those animated anime movies that like
Mhm.
actually have cinematography in them, right? Like
Right.
you see the sliding door and the angle, the camera angle of the sliding door from
Mhm.
the bottom, like it's like cinematography in anime. It's really,
They do a great job.
really, really
But
cool.
Your Name is probably one of my favorite anime movies out there, just all around. But what's the one I got her to watch, and then she fell asleep halfway through, was I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Now,
Bro, I just thought
I will never talk about the anime ever again.
I just made a
It's so
video.
hard.
I just made a video about anime that'll make you cry, and
Dude,
I haven't seen that one, but I read up on it. I was like,
don't,
oh, I got to add this to it,
don't,
and I was like,
don't.
this sounds horrible. This
It,
sounds heart wrenching.
dude, I can't. Well, maybe another time. Maybe another time. But yes, I have no idea. Like I said, with all this sadness we're talking about, I probably should watch something either very action. I've been thinking about doing Shangri-La Frontier. I haven't started yet.
Watch
Probably
this.
should.
So here's a let's end with a non-anime rec. Okay, I like documentaries.
Okay.
I believe it's on Netflix. It's either
I love
called
documentaries.
The Longest Breath or The Deepest Breath.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Like
Yeah. It has the guy from Hunger Games in it. I was gonna watch that, dude.
No.
It looks so good.
It's a documentary. It's a documentary.
What?
Yeah. So it's a documentary.
What's the other one?
The Longest Breath, or it's about deep dive, like free divers,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's very good. I don't really want to say anything because I'll spoil anything.
Don't give it
spoil
away.
something. But from the beginning of the documentary, you realize that some tragedy has happened, and there's a twist that you're just when the twist hits you, you're like, oh my god, what?
Really?
Got to check it. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. I watched it while meal prepping one day, but very, very good. But all right, everybody, we'll be back next week, and I'll give y'all some Anime Expo details. We'll have some more
Looking
to talk about
man.
from
Loving
summer anime. Some more summer anime will be coming out.
Yeah. Maybe what we've been watching recently.
I'll close with this. When I was watching Lord of the Mysteries, what was really tripping me out is I was watching it on June 28th, and the events take place on June 28th. Literally, they're like, on June 28th, this happened. And I'm like,
whoa,
that's today. Tripped me out. So there's
that was
a little
smart by them. So smart.
There's a little inception to blow your mind hole, everybody.
Yeah.
Until next time, everybody, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.